All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Serious Angler podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bailey Eichbra, and joined with me is the captain, Mr. Andy Full. What's going on, dude?
Oh, just a week into this dang cold that I've had. My hands hurt from catching too many smallies this weekend, and yeah, living the life. What's going on with you?
First world problems. Too many
Yeah,
smallmouth.
too many smallmouth.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
fishing, which was
Joe
awesome.
tuning in already. Andy, I think before we get started on anything, the kind of been the really don't want to say the talk, but kind of been the news around the fishing industry this past weekend has been the very unfortunate passing of Aaron Martins, and unfortunately, you and I did not have the privilege of being able to meet Aaron. And we're not going to go too in depth on anything because I don't think it would do it justice after what the boys over at BTL did this morning, and our guest today played a part in that. And I think all of you guys tuning in, whether you want to do it now, tomorrow, whenever you get an opportunity, put in our show notes is the link to the episode that BTL did this morning, attributing Aaron Martins. And I highly encourage all of you guys that are listening to this, tuning into this, watching this now, should head on over to that and give that a watch, because if you don't know much about Aaron Martins, he's definitely someone that you should really learn about. And he's one that, if I had a wish for anything, it was just one opportunity to have a conversation with him, because the sounds of, looking on social media, listening to all these different shows of people that have had the pleasure of talking with him have been affected by him in some sort of major way. So it's really cool to hear the stories. And I guess that's really all I can really say on it, because I don't think anything I would say do justice to what the boys over at BTL and Justin down here in the queue and Dean and Brent Chapman and all those folks that were on the show this morning. Stories were very moving. So I'll leave it at that. Andy, if you have any comments, let it rip, and then we'll get moving on.
It's a great tragedy. Cancer sucks, and to everyone, live like it could possibly be the last day on Earth, because you never know when tragedy will strike. So, and prayers to the entire Martins family.
Yeah. I think one last thing I'll leave it on is I was chatting on the phone with Ken Duke this morning, and he was telling me some stories, and we were having some laughs. And one of the quotes, I lost a best friend a few years ago, and his famous quote was, "To use your smile to change the world, don't let the world change your smile." And I was telling Ken about that, and I was like, I think this fits here too. And we kind of left it at that, and I think that's what we'll leave folks with that here. And we'll start getting some positive stuff and start talking about some fishing. And I think with that being said, really quick note for folks that are tuning in is we do have that 35% off sale for Hobie eyewear still running until November 14th. So if you guys want to get some cool present ideas for your friends that are anglers, or maybe people that like good sunglasses, head on over. Links down in the description. But Andy, that's all I have for introductions. Is there anything you got before we bring on our guest today?
At this moment, no. Like that, the whole Aaron Martins thing just still is so sad. Like,
Yeah,
man, just
brutal.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about like stuff like that. I hate death, and how many people ultimately affects. It just stinks. So
It really does. Yeah, there's not a good way to talk about it. So I think with that, we'll change it over on a positive note. We'll get to bass fishing, which puts a smile on everybody's face, like Aaron did, and talk with our guest Justin Lucas today, and talk about what he's been up to since his season has come to an end, and then also talk about what keeps him on top of his game going into the next season, what he does during the off season. So I think without further ado, we'll bring our guest down here, Mr. Justin Lucas.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, welcome back.
Thank you. You can see what I've been into during the off season here. I'm getting kicked out of my office, and it is becoming our second baby's room. We're having another little boy, so
that's gonna be fun.
That's pretty much what I've been doing. Just getting ready for this next baby. I have not fished Probably, but maybe 4 days total since our last day in September. The last at St. Clair's,
Ouch.
like September
Oh,
14th, was my last real day on the water. So almost 2 months now, and yeah, I haven't fished hardly at all. So we'll try to make this work, but there's not much going on in my off season as far as fishing goes right now. But I had a really busy year. I did 2 different tours, and I needed the break. Man, I ended up doing 17 tournaments total this year,
Ouch.
and I was ready for a little break, but I'm also getting antsy to get ready and get back after it again.
Yeah. It sounds like the little man's not here just yet. It sounds like he'll be here soon, but he's already taken up all of your space and
Yeah, we got a little
Extra
little
time.
bass above his crib right there. So
There
Perfect.
you go.
but
Starting
the
young.
office is no longer the office. We're gonna have to find a different place for the computer and the internet and all that. So
I say last time you're on, I think there was a treadmill in the spot where the crib is now.
yeah, that's out in the garage now. That's
Oh.
gone. So yeah, you guys are too young to know. You don't have kids, do you, Andrew?
I have a 2-year-old.
Oh, you do. Okay, so
Yeah,
you know the
so-
drill. Bailey,
Oh, yeah.
no kids, right?
No, none yet.
You don't know yet, but you'll find out.
No.
I'll be doing a podcast with you one day, and there'll be a crib in the background of your little podcast studio there, dude.
Oh gosh.
It'll happen before you know it. But it's a
Yeah,
good thing.
Not ready for that just yet, but congrats though on the on numero dos on the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another little boy, so got another fisherman in the works, hopefully.
Heck yeah. I like
How
the
old's
sound
your
of that.
first
Another
one now?
Lucas. That's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, my first guy, he's 4. So
He's
there's
probably
pretty good
just
little
getting into
age
fishing.
gap. Yeah, he's starting to, not like trying to push it on him or anything, just kind of let him do his own thing. But he certainly acts like he's interested in it, and definitely pretty good at casting so far. So we'll just keep working on that, let him do his thing, and if he wants to pick it up, he can. I'm really trying. Randy Howell lives here, Chris Lane lives here, Boyd, all these pros live here in Gunnersville, and they all live on the lake. So I'm trying to hopefully eventually find a little piece of property that I can have a dock and be able to give these boys a little 10-foot boat, when they're 12, and let them go screw around on the trolling motor, John boat off and around the dock in a cove somewhere. If we could ever find that piece of property, that'd be really cool.
I'm sure it will happen eventually.
Those are goals now, man. Now I'm fired up to win some tournaments, try and make money to buy lakefront property. So yeah, I got a new little fire under me.
I love
Sounds
it.
like we have another Lee brothers or Shryav brothers in the making here.
Yeah, maybe potentially. We'll see. I mean, dude, it's such a hard thing to do to make a like. Yeah, I'm not saying my job's hard. I'm saying we're just really hard to get there, And so I want to give them that opportunity. They're gonna have to work for it. They're gonna have to earn it. But if they want to do it, I'll try and help them the best I can. But if I'll support them whatever they want to do. So it's all good.
Heck yeah, dude.
My parents did not fish at all, and I hear footsteps running around out there. It's like, oh, like something's gonna come through the door. Anyway, my parents didn't fish at all. My dad was he was a contractor, marine contractor, and they had a business. My mom ran the business, or the book side, the accounting side, and my dad ran, out there actually running the tugboats and barges, and they worked on a lot of bridges and stuff in the California Delta. So I grew up around the water, but my parents didn't fish. So when I started kind of taking a liking into fishing, my dad's like, he would rather be over there welding something when I was 10 instead of fishing. But I just wasn't interested in welding or anything mechanical like that. He actually got me and my brothers and I a welder for Christmas one year. And we're like, what are we going to do with this thing? Like, I think I was 8. My brothers were 7 and 6.
Oh, geez.
And we ended up not using it or doing anything with it, of course. So he took it to work, and he started using that welder that we got for Christmas at work. But now my brother, that's a year younger than me, he's actually got his own welding business. So I guess it kind of worked out for him in the end.
Yeah.
The
Anyway.
bug started early to be a welder.
Yeah, he tried on me, but fishing just pulled me too hard in one direction, man. I literally wasn't interested in anything else once I found fishing. Quit baseball, quit basketball, just so I could totally focus on fishing. So
Well, we can relate to that. That's for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, so total sidebar. I know this doesn't really have much to do with our episode today, but I know you have some very strong ties into the early years of college fishing, and you talked about like the welding and everything. That kind of popped in my head we talked about it with I think it was Jacob Fouts of the college route versus the getting into a trade and taking the Opens or the Toyota Series route of getting into professional fishing. What's your what's your take on that? On which route?
I've personally I have a different take than both of them. I think that I don't think there's a right or wrong answer either way. But the way that I went was, for college fishing, all I did was MC those events.
Mm-hmm.
So I never actually fished in college.
Right.
I went to junior college out of high school, and my direction back then was co-angling. That was really my school. That was where I learned the most, and where I was able to also win a boat. And I feel like that was a really big deal to jumpstart my career. I ended up winning 5 tournaments as a co-angler. I did pretty well, but I was able to win that boat. And at 19 years old, it's equivalent to a Toyota Series now. It was a Stren Series back then. So it was a 19-foot boat without a motor. I had won a boat with a friend a few months before that, and we sold that. So I was able to use the money from that plus this boat to buy the 200 horsepower motor to put on it. And at 19, I had a paid off boat. And I feel like, that's one of the biggest things in bass fishing that hurts so many people that try and do it is, number one, they go to college and they might get out of college and you don't see many of these college guys fishing as a co-angler,
Mm-hmm.
and the way I would suggest it to guys is like, why wouldn't you fish as a co-angler? Because instead of jumping into Opens right off out of the gate when you get out of college or whatever, or during college, something that's so expensive, right? Opens are whatever, $1,800, $2,000 now, whatever they are. Might have lost you guys. You still got me?
Mm-hmm.
We got you.
Let's see here. You say you still got me?
Yep, you're good.
Yep.
Hold on one sec.
You're good.
Stupid things.
Good old technology.
Yeah.
Screwing everything up on there.
My AirPods do that all the time. That's
Do
why
it this way.
I do manual plugins.
I don't know what happened to him. Hold on, guys.
You're good. You're good.
I can't hear y'all.
Hmm.
I don't know what happened here.
You probably have to. Let's see. I think it's the cam mic, but I'll shoot him a text. I think you got to click the cam mic on the bottom. Let's see.
All right.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Okay.
Did you click the cam mic on the bottom to switch it over?
Yeah, I might have touched something. Yeah, I don't know what I did. But you guys are good? You can hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So, as far as, as a co-angler, my opinion on that is college guys, especially, to me, if you can learn a lot in college, you can be a great college fisherman. And instead of jumping in the Opens and fishing with these guys that are legit dudes, you look down the list of the Opens or Toyotas, there's some great fishermen in there, really hard to win at that level. If you can fish as a co-angler and win, and all of a sudden you've got, even if they're 18-foot boats now, whatever they are, you've got a $30,000, $35,000 boat that you win, that you're able to sell. Use that towards, another, maybe you have won a little bit of money from other tournaments or whatever, or maybe you win too as a co-angler. But that's how you can get out of debt and kind of start the adventure, in my opinion, of becoming a pro at a young age. To me, that's the best way. Obviously, we know not everybody comes from money, but most of the pros, most of them, I would say probably like 80% of them, if you really hear these guys' stories, they don't none of them came from money. And so I always say that the passion outweighs, any of the financial, whatever they get, financial help they get along the way. Now, I had little sponsors along the way, even had the National Guard as a sponsor. So I had my entries paid for these events. But, back then it was like they were $500 an event. So, and the first one that I won, first couple boats I won, I had no sponsors at the time. So I'm still a big proponent of being a co-angler. I feel like that's kind of been lost, in the past couple of years, with most of them being taken out of all the pro events, and now it's just in AAA level, whatever you want to call it, Opens and Toyotas and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Obviously, it's not for everyone. You can go to college, and hey, if you want to try and fish Bass Opens as a pro straight out of college, more power to you. Or if you want to go in the route of trade school guy and try and find that job that's 4 days a week, 10 hours, Monday through Thursday, and fish on the weekends, that's another route too. But that boost of 30 grand in your bank account, to me, is so much bigger than anything else. And if you're good enough fisherman, you should be able to go out there, in my opinion, sign up for maybe 6 to 9 co-angler events a year. If you're good enough, you're going to be knocking on the door in a couple of those events to win those events. So that's my opinion. And the other thing about fishing as a co too is you don't have to spend all the same expenses. I mean, you drive there in your truck. You don't have to practice the full amount of days because things are going to change. And you kind of know that, hey, if I go there with a shaky head, and you could pick 7 or 8 baits that you could have tied on as a co before you go anywhere, and one of those is probably going to do pretty well, if not win the event. That technique or something like that. So that's just my opinion. Like I said, it's not that it's right, not that it's wrong, but I kind of want to help. My goal this next year is I'm trying to figure out a way to get a little bit more focus back on the co-anglers and potentially help some of these younger guys get in those events, and help lessen up some of those costs. Because I feel like if these guys had that boost of a $30,000 boat or $40,000 boat, it'd be huge, huge help, because you can fish so much better when you're out of debt and trying to make it in the sport. That's a really big deal. The true potential of a fisherman, I think, comes out when he doesn't have the financial pressure on himself.
Yeah, that's an angle. And Andy, I think that's something that we never even kind of considered until now. I think that's, especially if you're out of debt, that's a very viable option, especially like if you're within your means, like if you're in a good living situation, even like say if you're still living with your parents and you're young, like in your young 20s or like your late teens, like you were talking about, Justin, being 19 in the tournament. I mean, that's a very viable option to get into the sport.
You're set up for a long-term success at that point.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I lived at my parents till I was 23, dude. So I wasn't, all my friends went off to college, and I was able to use, where they were for some fun here and there if I wanted to. But I was so worried about fishing that it didn't even matter. I was trying to get in as many tournaments as I could, and that was my main focus. But yeah, it's certainly it's a way that I just really feel like has been overlooked. But I think there's still something there, for sure. And I would like to see more guys do it, because it's just a huge amount of pressure taken off you if you can win even just one of those events and have that kind of cash stored up.
Right.
Don't be afraid to live at home till your early 20s. Keep a good relationship with your parents. Offer to buy groceries, whatever. That's the kind of stuff I was doing. I'm going to pick up groceries, living at home rent free. So anyway.
Yeah, you're talking right to me, man. I just turned 24 a month ago, and I was living at my parents at 23, and and I finally moved out and got our own place. But I'm gonna ask a difficult question here, and then we'll move on into our topic for the show. But so, like, as a co-angler, obviously you were really successful having 5 wins as a co. But like, and I'm sure you had these draws. Every co-angler that's done it for a while has these draws where you know your guy's just not around him. At that point, when you know you're in that situation, what's your move? Do you try to make the most out of it, or are you going to try to throw suggestions to your boater? Or like, what's kind of your angle at that point when you know that it's not like you just know there's not going to be fish around you?
Yeah, I mean, dude, the way I always looked at it when I was a co-angler, because I knew how important it was to win these events, because I had won a boat, right out of high school, and I knew that big chunk of money was making a difference in what I was trying to do. And so I was literally trying to win every tournament as a co-angler. So my thought process back then, and I hear this question a lot, like, what'd you do with those draws? I either tried to, influence them to move to a different area, or if they wouldn't, I literally felt like, I would tell myself, like, every single cast, there's a fish behind your bait. If you get the opportunity, don't screw it up. And, because you got to think, if you're in a crappy area and you're not going to get many bites, if you do miss that 1 or 2 bites, you're really going to screw yourself.
Toast, yeah.
But like extreme amount of focus, and I was in that, tell you, my very first tournament as a co-angler, I blanked both days. It was at Lake Havasu, and I think I blanked both days. I might have caught one the second day, but I'm pretty sure I blanked both days. But then the very next one I won. And I was getting in that mood the first tournament. Like, it was a tough event, but I was like, man, I just wasn't around guys that caught them. I wasn't fishing with guys that caught them, blah, blah, blah. And after that, and the attitude I had after that, I was like, dude, you can't, if you're going to do this, you can't act like that. Like, you got to act like there's a fish behind your bait every single cast. And that's what I started telling myself. And then, luckily I won the next event. But I did that for several years, the next 2 or 3 years as a co-angler, and got second a couple times too. So it really paid off. And I'm telling you, I feel like I could go back right now, fish as a co-angler again, have that same attitude. And I feel like there's so many people that are like, oh man, my draw, I'm ready to fish as a pro, blah, blah, blah. When I heard guys talking like that, I'm like, I'm going to beat these guys, because they're getting in their own freaking head. They're worried about who they're drawing, and I'm just worried about making sure that whatever fish that does bite is coming in the boat. And you still learn so much fishing with these guys, even if they aren't on the fish, because you see where boats are, you get the layout of the lakes, you understand, what sections were good and what sections were, and even the worst draws, you learn what not to do and what sections might have been just really crappy fishing, so even those bad draws, I learned a lot. And it got to the point where I wouldn't want to draw the good fishermen, because I couldn't outfish those guys. I wanted to draw the mediocre guys, or the guys that weren't that great, and just kind of hope that they were around enough that I could just, lay the hammer down that day on them out of the back of the boat. And so it just got to be a competition between myself, really, and the fish, and that was
the way it should be.
So I would love to see that, kind of spark back up, because one thing I forgot to point out earlier is, you look at a guy like Jordan Lee, you look at a guy like Jacob Wheeler, and these are 2 guys that are really young, right out of college, pretty much, or I don't even know if Wheeler went to college, but Jordan, right out of college, comes out. He's just this phenomenal fisherman. But how many other guys younger than them right now are there that are that level? I feel like Jordan and Jacob were next level guys in that age group. And I almost feel like there's kind of becoming a gap right now from those guys. And my point behind that is, these guys are phenomenal. They are there's just not going to be that many guys like that come around. But what there is a lot of that comes around is phenomenal fishermen in their mid 30s to mid 40s to 50 years old. And so that was always my goal too, was I'm not trying to be a phenomenal fisherman, in my mind, it wasn't like by 25, I have to have this and this has to be the deal. To me, it was like setting goals like, by 28, I'd like to, let's be realistic here. By 28, I would like to be on pro tours and maybe making some top tens, having a chance to win, because you got to grow into that. There's so much experience that comes, into this if you're going to do this for a living. So that I feel like that, and now maybe they've bumped it down a little bit more, but like 28 to 45, that's the magical range. You really have like 17 years of prime, as a pro, in my opinion. So if you look at 28, okay, you come out of college, you're 22. Do I want to try and rush and be a pro on the opens and go into debt doing it? Or do I want to try and take the co-owning route, win a couple, make sure I can stay out of debt and, go from there. So.
Yeah. And, based on that, it's going to be interesting, this year, especially looking from the open standpoint. A lot of the open guys that made it are really young, like 21 to 23 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, talking from an MLF standpoint too, I feel like Gray Buck and Matt Becker aren't that old either. I feel like they're in their mid to late 20s.
I think they might be 30. Yeah, I know Gray pretty well. I think Gray's because he was around in the original college fishing days. I'm 35. Gray's probably early 30s.
Oh, he's got baby face.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he really does. But there's a few guys over there too. There's some really good fishermen on the pro circuit right now. They're young.
Right.
They're that late 20 to 30 range, but still no one, in my opinion, there's no one like a Jordan Lee or Jacob Wheeler right now, younger, because they're both over 30 now, So they were winning tournaments mid-20s as a pro on a national level. So that's maybe Patrick Walters, I don't know how old
that's a good one.
He seems to be a real good fisherman, still not 30 years old yet.
Yeah.
No, not with the accolades that Jordan and Jacob had at that age. But talking about I like to really fast dive into who are some well-known names, I guess, names we should know on the pro circuit. I know like a Jacob Wall is one that people should definitely know about if they don't know already.
Yeah, I mean,
Jacob's pretty young too. He's probably mid to late 20s, isn't he?
Who's that? Jacob
Wall?
Yeah, he is mid to late 20s. Let's see. Spencer Sheffield, phenomenal fisherman. Dakota Ebert, he's a really good fisherman. I think he's under 30. Gray, Matt Becker, they're both around that age. Dylan Hayes, he's probably probably mid 30s, but another really good fisherman. I mean, I could look down the list, but just off the top of my head, 6 or 7 guys, right there that are they're good, man. And I fished both tours this year. I fished the Bass Pro Tour and the pro circuit, and I did well in both, but I saw that hey, it's not just a walk in the park on the pro circuit, man. These guys are going to catch them. Pretty much that's what and I see Cody Huff as another name. He just qualified for the elites, I think. But he was in this or in the pro circuit this year too. Another great fisherman. So there's some really young guys, and I still, but I still feel like there's no one that's
not in that echelon, at least just yet. But
right,
it's so rare to come out as a pro in a year or two and win on a national level. It's just such a hard thing to do. Really, you're just trying to survive, get your feet wet, get experience, and normally
break even.
Third or fourth year you start.
Yeah, I mean, touching on that real fast too, it's like Spencer Sheffield made a couple of the championship rounds, didn't he, this year?
I'm sure he did. I know Smith Lake he did, and I don't know where else, but Smith Lake, he almost won it, I think.
On the BPT?
Oh, not on the BPT. Oh,
didn't he fish one of the BPT events?
Might have done Harris Chain. I think he is where he did. Because I don't know if he made top 10, but he got close because he was catching some fish where I caught some in practice, and I fished it in the tournament and never caught me. And then I'm sitting there watching him catch them on live. I'm like, man.
He sucked them dry.
I'm like, gosh dang. One time I don't pull out a spinning rod. I'm watching him catch him off this spot I found. But anyway, it's all good.
Yeah. I could have sworn I was watching him on live one of the days. I don't know if it was that or if I was watching the pro circuit. I couldn't remember. But I knew it was Sheffield. I just couldn't remember if it was BPT or not. But
Yeah.
So let's start diving into some of the stuff from the off season, and I guess really kind of to start the conversation is, what are some of the first things that you do when your last tournament is over to kind of unwind, maybe do a mental reset? What are some of the first things that you do when the season's over?
For me, dude, I put everything away for the most part, at least for a couple of weeks. And like I said, now it's been almost 2 months of hardly fishing at all. But I just needed that break. So I put everything away. Now I'm past week. I really started kind of going through equipment, trying to figure out what I need to replace, what is still good for another season. Problem right now is, even for me, getting equipment is not easy. Just that whole supply chain issue is affecting everyone. And I haven't been able to order hardly anything this year. I've just been able to get a few things when they've come in from my boss. He's like, "Hey, this came in. Here's a few flatworms for you," or whatever. But nothing. I haven't been able to order anything. I've gotten like 3 packages this year, I feel like. So I'm going through everything right now, all the gear, trying to figure out what I can use again another season. And right now I've got some rods that are like some of my Fantasista Premier rods, my spinning rods. They're going on like 4 or 5 years now. They're awesome rods. But line, I did get some bulk spools of line, so I'm good to go there. And just doing an inventory on everything. That's really the deal right now. We're getting ready to have this baby, so that's going to be, probably a little more delay. But normally come December, I'm about ready to get my new boat, and that's when I start getting back on the water pretty good bit, and just start getting that feeling back. But I went ahead and I signed up. I signed up for the pro circuit again because we have a tournament. The first one is at Rayburn in January, and I just feel like that's a good icebreaker for the year. Get things, get the blood flowing again. And of course, the championship is on St. Lawrence River, and I love that place. So would love to make that and have a chance to win that thing. And I think it's the middle of August, so the fish should be deep. Drop shot, Ned rig should be fun.
Right up here.
Yeah, that's a little bit in your forte, right? Just so.
I can catch one here and there doing it.
Oh man! So like, when you say you're putting stuff away, you're taking a couple months off here. I mean, obviously you got a kid on the way, so that's taking up the majority of your time getting ready for it. But like, on a year,
no fishing. Literally focused on family, and spending time with family and just doing things around the house. Getting caught up on chores that needed to get caught up on, that my wife needed done around the house, and just different things like that, man. Really, I mean, no fishing. My grandparents live close to here. My mom and stepdad too, but trying to spend time with them. Didn't get to see them that much throughout the year. So yeah, always trying to spend as much time with family as I can in the off season, especially after fishing 17 tournaments this year. I kind of feel like I owe that to them. So, but it's fun.
They're probably grateful.
Yeah, man. It's tough. It's the best job on earth. Don't get me wrong. Every job has hard things about it, whatever. But I feel like the only hard thing about our job is just being away from family. That's really it. Other than that, if anybody's complaining about being a pro fisherman, you just tell them to shut up. Because
your job is to be outside and to market awesome companies. Like, what are you grumbling about?
Dude, we're so lucky and fortunate to be able to do it. Anytime somebody's complaining, I'm like, dude, you don't know how lucky you are right now. We live in the greatest country in the world, and we're able to literally fish for a living. I'm talking about pro guys that are complaining. So I don't have time for that. If pro guys are complaining, I'm not going to listen to it.
I like it.
Could be
entry fees. Don't get me wrong. Entry fees suck. There's still things that suck, but it's not worth. It's not. If you're making money and you're able to make a living, I'm just thankful to have a place to fish. So I got to pay entries, whatever.
Heck yeah. Yeah, there's much worse things you could be doing, right, Andy? Like sitting at a desk at a bank.
Yeah, amen to that one.
Yeah, Andy Justin made the switch. It was what, back in
August.
August? Yeah.
August. 3 months ago, I quit to go full-time guide on Lake Erie in Buffalo.
Oh, nice, dude.
So it's been fun.
How's it been working out for you?
Decent. Could always have more trips, as you know, but got
Yeah.
some other side gigs that I do, and Bailey's always on me because I'm like behind the 8 ball on everything with the 2-year-old. And no, I'm just kidding. Bailey's great, but you know, a couple jobs and fishing, and I also guide for steelhead and salmon from the streams this time of
nice.
year. So like I'm like in between. So I'm out smallie fishing all weekend, and now next weekend I'm doing trout trips. So it's like, it's
That's
tiring.
really cool, dude. That's awesome.
It's fun. Yeah.
That's very cool. How's the smallie bite up there right now?
Bailey, you can tell him how it is.
It's just
nonstop.
Yeah. Doesn't end.
Yeah, we're
it's all right.
We're catching on like A-rig, single swim baits, crankbaits, and like 10 foot of water.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It's all right.
Very cool.
I think I caught. Let's say I think we landed 200 fish this weekend.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conservatively, 200.
How cold is it when you're out there though?
Yesterday was 63. And the water temp is 55 still.
That's not bad at all.
So it's not even like prime yet.
Dude. Yeah, that's legit.
Yeah.
We might be hitting open water in January up here, believe it or not. It's been a very warm fall.
It's happened the last couple of years.
Wow. So is it getting pushed back further? Like does it stay longer than it used to?
No, the ice actually has been leaving earlier. So I was actually just watching a segment on the news earlier, and they were talking about like the end of growing season. About 10 years ago, it was like October 20th would be the first frost. And now we're up to about November 3rd, 4th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then the ice leaves the lake on average like the beginning of April. It used to be right around the 3rd, the 4th week of April.
So it is changing. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been kind of weird, but I mean, longer we get open water, I'm not complaining because I'm not the biggest ice fisherman. So
no.
For real, man.
Longer it keeps it in that prime time temperature range. I'm not going to argue it.
That was always the thing up there. Yeah, I was like, man, how could you guys live up here? You can only fish 6 months a year, and now you could fish 8. You know?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I think my boat goes away the 1st or 2nd week of December, and I pull it out the middle to end of March.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
No.
Not that bad. Just enough time to get on YouTube, watch some tips and tricks, and
exactly
get fired up for the next season.
A lot of Justin Lucas videos.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
Yeah, taking the 2 months off and then you're back into it.
Yeah. I'll be watching some here soon and trying to get fired up too. So
Heck
yeah.
Well, dude, when on years you don't have a kid on the way, obviously we know that you're very proficient with your Traeger grill. But beyond that, are there any other hobbies or anything you do during your off season when you get some downtime?
Not really, man. Cook and fish and mess with tackle. I mean, that's pretty much it. But the fishing normally, like I said, comes along towards the end of off season once we're starting to get back in the roll. I have cooked on the Traeger a lot. That's definitely one thing. That's my main hobby. I feel like I like cooking on the Traeger more than I like to fish right now. But that'll change. You know, I'll get back in the swing of things. But yeah, you know, I don't have no crazy hobbies or anything. I just like, you know, my big thing is just making sure getting outside. We went on a hike this weekend at the Lake Guntersville State Park, but just being outside, soaking up some vitamin D, and just trying to be active. I do like to try and stay as in best of shape as possible in the off season. Not that I'm in amazing shape or anything, but one of my favorite things to do is just get up and go walk, you know, for 45 minutes or an hour in the mornings. I love doing that. And then, you know, maybe getting in a little 20 or 30-minute workout in the afternoons, but nothing crazy. I'm not a gym rat, nothing like that. Just something to stay active.
Yeah. But you hear about a lot, more and more anglers are talking about that though. Like not being like a crazy gym rat or anything like that are, you know, going and pumping weights every morning for a couple hours, but like guys that are getting out, you know, going for a 20-minute run every morning or every other morning, something like that, something just to keep physically active as like they've seen improving, you know, especially the guys that weren't active that switched, had like a lifestyle switch that done it. they say that their tournament season's more successful just because they feel better when they're on the water.
It just gives you more confidence too.
Mm-hmm.
Period. You know, that's just, I think that's proven somewhere. I remember listening to some podcast or something about it, but they interview all these really successful business owners, CEOs and stuff. And that one of the most common things they had amongst these guys was some kind of physical activity. Didn't mean that they had to be, freaking bench pressing and lifting weights, but could have been riding a bike, walking, running, whatever, just something that kind of gets you going in the mornings, and then it just gives you confidence. It's weird in a way. I don't know how it does that, but it does. And in return, you feel like you're going to catch more fish because you're doing it, so whatever, it works.
Yeah.
I can argue with it. I hope the other guys just, don't do anything.
Donuts.
I feel like it is a little bit of an advantage. I don't ever talk about it. Aaron Martins was, he always spoke about it. And just, being in top physical condition for fishing, he always felt like that was a big reason why he was so successful. And again, I think it goes back to just, the confidence it gave him of being in that physical condition. The dude was a machine. He would literally run at night after practice before like the next day of practice, like just crazy. So, really, he was the guy that really probably got it going. I'm seeing like somebody say Zach Burge. I know he does it some, or does some weightlifting. Carl Jochimson, a few of these other guys. So, I'm not trying to get jacked or nothing. I'm just trying to get that confidence,
I'll tell you, one of the biggest gym rats, and he's become a good friend now, is Tyler Rivette on the Elites.
Oh,
that
really?
Dude will go and pump iron for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then go fishing for the rest of the day. And I was like, dude, like back in my college days when we trained, after the gym, I couldn't like move my arms. I don't know how you go and just go flipping, 1 ounce weights for the rest of the day. Like that dude's crazy. That dude is actually crazy.
He's probably flipping 2 ounce weights like 30 feet past his target.
Splashing everyone.
No problem, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely, I think, a proven fact, and you hear about people not even just fishing, but like in any facet of talking about physical activity, getting the brain waves moving, but also like it just gets you in a positive mindset to kind of help you influence your decisions throughout the day. I think that's just proven fact now.
Yeah,
if you're not incorporating somewhat of that, like it's.
Hey, even Bobby Lane is walking now. So, because we'll call each other in the mornings. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm walking." He's like, "Yep, so am I." So, we'll talk for 45 minutes and walk almost 3 miles. Talking for 45 minutes. But that's the other cool thing about walking. You can have a conversation, you can catch up on some phone calls, listen to podcasts, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you just get in your own mental zone.
Yeah, man. I used to think walking was lame. I also think owning a pontoon boat was lame. I have one of those. And I used to think that owning an RV was for old people. And I just sold one of those last year that we used to, travel with. So all the things I used to think were lame and for old people, I've already done and I'm doing them. So,
or you're just calling yourself an old person.
Whatever. It's all
Is that a movement now with pro bass anglers is buying a pontoon boat? I think it was Dustin Connell has one. I think I saw one of his videos.
We bought it earlier this year, but it was awesome for the summer. Just to be able to go out on the lake with family and stuff. It was really cool to have.
Let's be real. You're just using that to graph so no one sees your boat wrapped and everything like that. No one's going to see a guy wrapping a pontoon boat.
It's pretty cool just going right by somebody and not having a wrap on your boat. They have no idea. And they're not afraid to set the hook or anything.
You got like a Solix 15 on the console.
Yeah, I don't, but that would be tight.
What do we have to do to get Justin Lucas to fish a pro circuit event in a pontoon boat?
Oh, hey,
takeoff would be hairy.
I probably would if I could.
That would be a sight to see. So, dude, when you we're gonna wrap things up in a few and let you go because we know you got a bunch of stuff going on. But when the season's approaching, getting closer, is there anything you kind of do to try to sharpen your skills, get kind of knock the rust off? Like, do you try to make an effort to go fun fishing and do some certain techniques to kind of that you might be doing in that first event of the year?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. If there's something like we're going to be at Rayburn for the first event for the pro circuit, so I will definitely be spending some time on Gunnersville, throwing a trap, throwing a chatterbait, throwing jerk bait, the things that this is a grass lake as well. So is Sam Rayburn, so I can do a lot of those things. And really, it's like for me, I just need that first good tournament. I need that first momentum booster, and once I have that, then after that I'm good. I don't feel like I need to practice, techniques and stuff too much. I can always get better at dirty water pre-spawn fishing. That is hands down my biggest weakness, but it's not really something I can go practice because we're so caught up in tournaments come February and March when that's going down. I just can't go, I can't go do it. I'm going where the schedule is. And I love the nursery studio. Yeah, it's awesome. But anyway, yeah, so nothing crazy. Just got to get the, get the decision making going again. Really, I like to go like Matt Lee and I past couple weeks. We've gone fishing a couple times and we just placed little bets on fishing. I went and met Chris Lane out there for 2 hours the other day. We placed a $20 2-hour bet, So, and then I was fired up, dude. I'm sitting there running the front deck, putting the trolling motor down like it's a Bass Pro Tour event, and I'm just trying to win $20 off Chris, So anything that involves, a little side money, little side hustle there on some fishing, I'm gonna fish hard, and it kind of gets the blood flowing and ready again.
Yeah, I enjoyed those videos you did. I think one was with Matt, one was like Justin Atkins.
Yeah,
you guys did a little competition like that.
Yeah, I need to do those.
Cool.
Those are pretty fun because it's like you're making good content, but it's more fun that you're actually having a competition and trying to beat each other anyway. So it just comes out that it's all right,
Yeah, I think your one with Justin Atkins was the one where it came out that Justin used to. I think he worked for Humminbird when he was basically graphing for a job, and that was what I got the chance to talk to Justin at the Classic. He works for. Well, he's sponsored by X2, and they're one of the clients to do PR for.
Yeah,
and we got to talking about that. It was kind of cool how he got into that gig, but it's because of your video that I remembered it.
Yeah, I remember you used to talking to Justin when he worked at a lumberyard, and he was just got out of college, Mississippi State, working at this lumberyard, trying to fish, trying to make things work. And, of course, he went on and won the cup, I think, his first year on tour. Yeah. And then after that, he was kind of set and good to go. But, yeah, he's a hard worker, great fisherman. Another guy I'd like to see win a tournament here pretty soon. He's won a couple, but it's been a couple of years now. So
he was very close to St. Lawrence this past year.
I know he was, man. He really was.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Andy, any questions pertaining to the off season for Justin before we hit him with the last question?
What, besides like all the family stuff, what would you say is the hardest part of the off season in relation to like picking up maybe a new sponsor or leaving a relationship with the sponsor? Like, what is your least favorite part of the off season?
I've been really fortunate the last few years. I've been able to keep the relationships with the same people for like 3 years in a row now. It's looking pretty good for next year. But yeah, those conversations are always like toss up in the air. You don't know, but thankfully I haven't had to go and really search for new stuff. I've been able to hold on to the partnerships I have, and I'm trying to do that. And it's business. So if somebody decides they want to leave or whatever,
right,
then it puts a little more work on the plate. But right now I'm kind of full anyway. So just trying to make sure I'm doing a good job for those people. And, it's a good time of year for me that if there was something I missed out on throughout the year, a social post or something like that, I can go over all that stuff and try and fit something in the off season. But that's about it, dude. Nothing crazy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So our last question is from a little bird here that's texting me.
All right.
And first thing he's telling me is to tell you that I hear your steak is below average. And he also told me to ask you
anything else.
He told me to ask you if you have ever made a co-angler fall into the water.
I have. Yeah. Yeah, it's at the Arkansas River. It's Matt Pangrack. I know you.
Yep.
He thinks he's the man at cooking on the trader, and he's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, he's pretty good. But dude, he can't touch me on the steak game. He can have his shrimp or chicken or whatever else, but I got him beat on the steak all day.
Sounds like we need a BTL live of a
He's
cook-off.
been trying forever to get that. We'll see. But yeah, last story. And I'm out on fantasy football. I saw another guy post that.
Yeah, rich ass.
After I did it, 3 years ago, and dude, I got out. I got way too involved. Like midnight, looking at my phone, trying to pick dudes up off waivers and all this. Screw that stuff. So
All in.
I got beat the first round of playoffs. I had this awesome team, and then I got smoked. I'm like, this was such a waste of time.
Rigged.
Rigged.
Yeah, so I had a guy at the Arkansas River leaning up against my power bowls, and he didn't tell me at the time. And he was taking a piss, and dude, I hit the down button, and all I heard was "boosh," turn around and look, and there's just no one there. Bowls are down. I'm like, what in the world? And he pops up, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, I just totally freaking. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what happened, but this guy totally just fell off the back of the boat. So he was a pretty big dude, like probably 250, 260, and I'm trying to get him. And he's like, man, I was leaning up against those poles taking a piss, and you hit him down. He's like, I should have told you, It was pretty funny.
That's insane. Was he mad, or did he
He wasn't mad at all.
Just laughing it off?
He's like, dude, how are you supposed to know? I'm like, yeah, I didn't. Obviously. But if you want to play good joke on your buddies, if they're ever leaning against those poles, dude, hit that down button. They're gone.
Yeah, what Joe said, fell in his own piss. Oh man, that's good.
Oh man.
Well, thank you, Matt, for the question to lead to that story, because that's good. There's been times where we were out with buddies or something, and I've been tempted to put it on 10 and tap the trolling motor just to screw with somebody, but
yeah.
So I'm sure you haven't seen the video, but Bailey posted a video, like a short the other day, of players on the front deck of the Triton. He decided to nosedive and almost went off the back of my boat by tripping over players. It was pretty funny.
For real, you almost did?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so his Triton, where we can put your pliers and scissors and stuff, is level with the front deck. So Andy's getting something off of a dock, and basically when we're turning, he was telling me to watch my rods, when my rods in the back, the passenger seat, were going to run into the dock as he's turning. Yeah. So I look at that and I go back to try to save my rods, and I zoom in on the video too, and my right foot hits the pliers
just ever so slightly.
Hits the toe, and I start tripping my way back to the back deck, and I completely miss the passenger seat, just fall all the way to the back, and I slide from the seat back head first into his motor. And I was so surprised I didn't dent his cowling or anything. But if it weren't for his motor, I would have gone head first into the lake, slid off the back deck.
I wonder how many guys have tripped over those. Now that you say it, I know what you're talking about.
They're in the worst spot.
It really is. Yeah, that's not a great spot.
Yeah, we were just we were laughing. We were like, what in the heck was going on?
You got it on video?
Oh yeah.
I don't have my head first going into the motor part, but you can hear the whole boat shakes. I hit the motor so hard.
You can hear him thud, and the whole boat goes like this.
Yeah, that's about like me when I set the hook on a brush pile that you follow and tripped over the little latch on the lid.
Oh, jeez.
The console. Oh yeah, I thought I had a 8-pounder on there too.
Big one.
All the way back.
Ugh.
I think I've seen that. That was in the video from this year?
I posted it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I set the hook hard, dude. I leaned in on that one. I thought I had it, but it was sick. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks.
Justin, it's good to get you back on here, dude. We appreciate you taking some time out of your night, and especially you're going through a hectic time. So hope everyone's okay, and obviously good luck with the little guy. We're looking forward to seeing some pictures of him and
absolutely
seeing another Lucas top tier angler in the making.
Yeah, we'll see. we'll see, man. Like I said, won't push it on him, but if he wants to do it, by all means, we'll support him. So,
Awesome.
anyway, guys, thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime, man.
We'll see you later, Justin.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All right, man. Take care. Yeah, like Joe said, me going head first.
Karma.
Redemption.
Karma. My boat was mad at you.
Dude, that was the time to literally have, what is it, the GoPro 9 that has the 360 or something like that?
Yeah.
So, like, see everything. That would have been the time to have it just to watch me go head first into the motor.
I just remember looking at you just like straight belly laughing. I was like, are you okay?
You're like, you were laughing, and I was like, dude, I just went head first in your motor, and then you just died. Like, you lost it. We're sitting there with 24 and a half pounds in the live well and going head first into a motor, and we're just laughing. Like, we didn't even care.
Yeah. Oh, that was actually before I caught that 6.5, like a half
22
hour
pounds in the boat,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I think it was like 23.5 or something we had at that point, or
something like that.
I don't know. Wild.
Yeah. But, dude, this past weekend was a lot of fun. Friday evening was an absolute riot that you guys will see in December. So about a month or so, we'll leak that video. We're going to leak a lot of content from Friday night because we'll just leave it at that. Andy kind of hinted at it a little bit on previous shows, so you can probably put together if you go back and listen. What you're talking about, if you want to go back and listen, we had some issues with Apple Podcasts on our Friday episode. It only uploaded to Spotify, well, basically everywhere except for Apple Podcasts. So if you guys want to go back, a really good show with Mark Kortz, who's a National Walleye Tour pro, but he's also a smallmouth hammer. And he talked about the advantages of being a multi-species angler and how it can help your game being a bass guy. So if you're an Apple Podcast person, avid listener through Apple, that show is on. Highly encourage you guys to go watch that one or listen to that, I should say. But Saturday we got back out, had some more fun, and then I saw the power of certain crankbaits and how being very specific with actions can actually make a difference. Because I always was telling Andrew that I was never going to buy an expensive crankbait because I didn't think it would make that big of a difference, especially in the fall, Andrew, which really shouldn't make that big of a difference, especially when they're eating like they were. But we tested it out. Like, we saw what was happening in front of our eyes, and we're like, this is an opportunity to experiment. We're not practicing. We're not fishing a tournament. Let's experiment. And we did. We tried some different things compared to that OSP, dude, and that was stupid.
It was wild.
Yeah, like I dropped $150 on Saturday night after that. And Joe's getting mad at me.
And for the record, Joe, I knew about them before that. They just never came in stock, and then they did. And you told me they were in stock, so I bought a bunch.
Yeah. Well, either way, thank you, Joe. Thank you for the
thank
juice.
you.
Too bad. Now it's ours. No,
Yes.
but a lot of fun on Saturday. Caught a lot of fish. And then yesterday I did not film at all. Just went out fishing with a buddy. And
because your GoPro's in my truck.
GoPro's in the truck, but also we were just kind of. He was trying to read some electronics and showing him some stuff with electronics, and then we stumbled our way into almost 24 pounds. It was 23.13, so almost 24. Yeah. But of a mixed bag, he had a 5'11" largemouth. I had a 5'2" smallmouth, and some 4-pounders in there, 4'4", 4'6", and like a 4'7" or something like that, 4'8".
Nice.
But yeah, it was a fun day yesterday. It was the first fall day I've spent out from dark to dark. Not that that's a big feat because it was the time change. So literally.
Oh, and you started a little late too.
Yeah. So here another funny story. So I wake up, get my breakfast, my coffee made. I get on the road to go meet Forrest, and it's about 6:45, and I call him, and because like at this point I didn't realize it was the time change, and so like before like Saturday and before, and obviously the time change, it was getting dark, or it was getting light at like 7:30, Andy, 7:45-ish.
Yeah, we started almost at 8 on Saturday.
Yeah, and so I called him, and I was like, dude, why the hell is it getting light right now? And he goes, dude, it's a time change today. And I was like, oh, well, I wouldn't have said we should meet at 7:30 then. I said we should have met at 6:30.
Yeah.
But yeah, just dummy me not paying attention. I thought it was November. I thought it was this morning, not yesterday morning. But either way, it was a fun day on the water yesterday. A lot of good content coming out for you guys. We have a bunch of videos that we are stockpiling up and waiting to let rip this winter, so you guys have some content to feast on, we should say. But for those of you guys that are listening right now, especially on Apple Podcasts, tell our folks that they should stop being late on posting our episode, but also leave us a rating and review. And then, if you just want to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, because we had a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipe. We have a really cool episode coming up on Friday with Stephen Carey and Kurt Kofig. I believe I pronounced his last name right. If not, I'm sorry, Kurt. And you can
Kurt's coming on. Cool.
We're going to have a whole Binsky episode, the Fish Sense Binsky. We're going to have a whole Bloody Bait episode on Friday. And then next Monday Night Live, for those who want to tune in, put it on your schedule and you want to be there, we have old Brandon Polnick making an appearance on Monday Night Live a week from tonight. So we hope to see you guys there. But Andy, anything else for the folks before we tune out tonight?
Stay tuned to YouTube, because there's going to be a lot of smallmouth coming.
A lot of smallmouth, hopefully some more largemouth to mix in, because I'm really trying to learn what these smallmouth or these largemouth do, like late fall, like almost to December when we still don't have ice yet. I really want to learn how to catch the green ones, because there's not a lot of times you can catch a lot of them. It's more like if you catch them, they're big, and there's only a few bites a day. But either way, a lot of good content coming. Some big sales coming, some giveaways coming in December. Some Christmas fun, and some big changes coming to the Serious Angler podcast for 2022. Maybe we'll announce some stuff early. There might be stuff presented right now. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We do know. We're just not telling you until early December. So hopefully you guys can look out for that, and some really cool stuff coming for 2022. So we're excited. You guys will obviously reap the rewards of it. And just keep following along. We appreciate everyone's support. And Andy, I think we're going to call it a night. All right, folks. We'll see you guys on Friday.